My name's Jack Scullin, and today I'm here with John Mallanda, aka Professor John, on the second episode of Bass Chats, where we're going to go over some of our favorite techniques and just overall talk bass. So, what's happening today?
What's going on, Jack?
Just chilling, man. So, what's been new with you? What have been your latest projects that you got cooking?
Well,
start out with the plugs.
The professor, yeah. Start with the good stuff. Professor John, still working on solo stuff. I finished the music for my second album probably, 6 months ago, but I've just been lazy and putting it out, I guess.
Yeah.
I want to do the cover art a certain way, and to do it that way, I've had to buy a gold suit.
Okay.
So it took me a while to.
Well, what's the idea behind it?
It's just the cover part of it. It's just all those old soul guy albums where they lay down in a suit.
Lay down in a suit.
You know what I'm talking about, Thriller, Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Curtis Mayfield.
Gotcha. Okay, now I'm following.
Yeah, so I just want to lay down in a suit and kind of make it funny.
Nice, I like that. Get the fireplace going.
Yeah, I get something, something weird in the background.
Yeah, get that bear rug.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the idea.
Nice. And are you besides writing all the music, are you also producing it?
Yeah, I'm doing everything. Produce it. Mix it, master it.
See, that's what. Okay, so what DAW do you use?
Ableton Live.
Use Ableton. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so I use Logic, and that's one thing I've been meaning to try to get better at is learning more about mixing and mastering. So you do all that in there, in that DAW?
I do. And the reason I use Ableton is because of the live performance aspect of it.
The live performance aspect.
Yeah, so
when
with
you
the launching the clips and stuff like that, so I can play with it.
Okay.
And that I started on FL Studios. Back in high school, and at some point I was like, I don't know if I can do any more than I'm doing on it. And then someone was like, you gotta get Ableton. And I was like, are you gonna teach me how to do it? Mm-hmm. And he said yes. I was like, all right. Well,
I got Logic just because, Mac kind of brilliantly keeps you in their silo where it's I think Ableton is what, 600 or 500? Around that price range, but
I think it's $750.
$750,
if you want,
okay, more,
if you want,
but Logic's only $100.
Yeah,
and I was just like, shit.
I can start out with.
Yeah, and I already was already playing around with GarageBand, and that's pretty much what Logic is. It's just premium GarageBand, but
I mean that's how I feel like Ableton is too.
Yeah, and I just thought it was real intuitive, and I've been able to, I produce some of my own stuff. Granted, it's If I actually want to do some serious stuff, I'll go to an actual studio. Yeah. But I mean, it ends up just being so expensive, and I just think nowadays, man, it's if you have the choice between putting your money into $400 studio days, or just kind of recording yourself and putting that in some advertising on Facebook to actually do
merch to actually make money.
Yeah, I mean merch doesn't even Because when my band Dr. Strangelove, we released our first album, we were things all right, so let's get some merch, and we were just trying to break down. It's all right, what would make sense, and then what would make sense where we can actually turn a profit.
Yeah. And
we were looking at T-shirts, and I mean it was still if we bought 100 T-shirts, 10 small, 20 smalls, 20 mediums, 20 whatever.
Yeah.
Each shirt still ended up being $15 a T-shirt.
Oh man!
And then it was couldn't get the price point down, so it was we don't want to. we don't want to be sitting on
a bunch of shirts
and be all right, well these extra larges didn't sell, and
Well, yeah. For me, it's the smalls and mediums that sell. My friends. Yeah. We're in America for sure. It's because I have a box of they're old shirts that I really.
That's what I'm saying. I knew that would happen. Where it's just.
But I just want to get right. They don't even have my logo on it. I just made it before I really knew what I was doing. But I was I need to sell something.
Yeah. And then literally for the album release, the only thing we sold were stickers.
Did you even get CDs?
We got CDs, and I mean I was against it.
I'm not making them for the second one. I might try to do something where I get 5 vinyls made, and if you really like me,
See, I'm a vinyl enthusiast, and it's like if I buy music, it's gonna be in vinyl format, and I will like for an artist, like I will shell out like $30 to get there.
That's what I'm thinking.
You know,
but it's really about how much does it cost me to.
Exactly. I mean,
small
vinyl's not
print
cheap.
Vinyl, yeah.
Vinyl's not cheap either. And I mean, with CDs, honestly, nowadays, like I don't have
them away.
I don't have a single place where I can play CD.
Yeah,
my laptop doesn't have a disc drive anymore. I don't own a CD player. My car one is broken. It just doesn't work. So it's like literally just I got nothing to play CDs at. So it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah, I've like I'll do like contests and be like, did free CDs, signed CDs and stickers, and people will be like, yeah. They'll win the contest and be like, don't really worry about it. I'm like,
don't worry about it.
Why'd you do that?
Don't worry about it.
I was like, all right. Why'd you answer? But whatever.
Yeah. So you're working on this second album, and then
it's really done.
It's done. You just got to record it.
Do the cover. No, I just got to do the cover.
Oh, okay. So it's all recorded and everything.
It's just done. I just need to get. I'm actually planning on doing the photography stuff for it. I've been talking to a buddy.
Gotcha.
The next couple of weeks, so it should be out by the end of the year.
Nice. And then, what are the other projects that you got happening?
I'm really just doing the Professor John right now. IRE, we were doing that, and that kind of disbanded at the end of the year.
Oh, that band's not happening.
Yeah, we're not doing it anymore. Yeah. So it kind of got me refocused on the Professor John and figuring out what I want to do. Because I feel like there's so many options with music, especially with the internet and stuff. Like, do you want, like, I'm just trying to kind of sit at home and make videos. Yeah. And then if someone wants to, like, pay me a lot to play an offshoot show, I'll do it.
Yeah, but, gotcha.
And not even a lot, but, like, I don't know. There was a point where it was just getting too much of a burden to like show up to these venues like 5 to 6 hours before you play. I'm plugging in a bass. And that's it. Like I don't need the sound check really. Yeah. And then, you waste like 6 hours on a Friday night.
Yeah,
not even that,
I mean,
like
absolutely.
8 hours and you're just like, was this worth it?
Yeah.
And then more people end up seeing your stuff online too.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
So it's like,
and I mean, my biggest thing is just with a lot of it, like being in a band. I mean, when you were doing it solo, but like if you're in a band with like for IRE with 4 or 5 other people, and you're trying to play like these opening slots at wherever it may be, Aisle 5, Smiths or whatever, and they literally pay the band like $100, $150 bucks.
I think we had 7 people at the beginning too.
Yeah, and
so
then the
it's
split is like
we're not splitting
20,
it. We're just like we'll just throw this
split.
into a band fund.
Yeah, and then I was just like, man. So one thing I've been doing recently is just like I'm in a mandolin duo, the Scullin Fraser duo, and I mean we just play at restaurants and stuff, and restaurants are much better paid because and the cut is 50-50. So it's like you end up actually making some money,
being like this was worth it.
Yeah. And it's just, it's all cover stuff, but at the same time it's like I think something that I've always been a fan of, like just performing wise, is like, man, I don't even want to be the center of attention. Like I kind of like being the ambient. Like I like playing, and then people, it's not loud enough where it's like people can literally still talk to each other and not scream over each other. Like,
well, it's especially that's what you need at a restaurant for sure.
Yeah. You can't have like drums and stuff at a restaurant.
Or if you do, you're like not coming back.
Yeah, no, exactly. Dude, I played this corporate gig recently, and it was with Dr. Strangelove, and we got hooked up because both the bands had people who worked at the company.
Okay.
And the first band was like this punk band with drums, and it must have started out with 100 people in this banquet hall, and by the second song there was like 20.
Yeah, they're like, this is loud.
This is so loud. Yeah, and it was like we can't talk, and I was like, yeah. I mean, that's what drums, indoor drums, if it's not like, so yeah, it's like, I kind of like just playing in the background, just kind of creating a mood and just like letting people party or letting people do their thing,
I wouldn't mind doing that for like, I wouldn't not like really do my Professor John stuff, but sit with a loop pedal and just like mess around with chords.
No, you could totally pull it off. I mean, if you just don't make the backing track so heavy and you just kind of play, just...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, do soft stuff in the background while people eat burgers.
Yeah, just eating burgers, just drinking margaritas and stuff. Yeah. So focusing on Professor John.
Yeah.
So, I mean, tell me about the process for creating the tracks. And if you haven't checked out Professor John, you got to. I mean, it's just really cool music with basically the bass is the vocal. So the bass does the lead lines, and then he'll switch to, you know, more rhythmic slap stuff and just kind of... it's just really, really cool arrangements. But kind of like what goes into the process of from like the seed of an idea to like a finished track?
Well, I appreciate it. It's really, for the most part, I like am messing around, just playing bass.
Yeah.
Like, I play bass doing everything, watching TV.
Me too.
Like, so I'll like be just like, you know, thumping around. I'll be like, oh, that was really sweet.
That's something.
So I'll like, you know, pull out my phone, just record a video of me playing it, and then save it, because if I don't do that, it's gone forever. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how many songs I've lost not recording. So
there's no bigger mistake than thinking it's like, no, I'll remember that.
No, it's cool. This is super cool this time.
I'll remember that. And then,
remember
and then it's like, nope.
No, yeah. So like, I'll do that, and then really, I'll usually just take that one part and kind of flesh that out production-wise. Like, add the drums, add whatever instruments and stuff, just to that one like part, whatever it even, you know. I don't even know what it's going to be at that point. It could be a chorus, could be a verse, could be a bridge, you know? Mm-hmm. And then once I kind of flesh out the one part, I kind of can see what instruments I'm using and what instrumentation. Like, you don't really want to switch stuff up drastically from, like, verse to chorus, you know? I'm not going to use different instruments and sounds all that much. So, like, from there, I just kind of think of... I guess once I have the full idea of the one part, my brain can kind of be like... This is how the next part should sound. Yeah. And then I'm like, now I got to figure out a bass part that's cool enough to sound like that and be on the album. Because that's the one thing, is like, that's kind of weird about doing the solo stuff. It's like, you'll come up with something cool, but you'll be like, that's not necessarily going to work for this. Yeah. You know? And that's just kind of what I do. And then, doing with the production and stuff, I really kind of go all sorts of different ways, because sometimes, you know, you want kind of more natural sounding, so you'll do like, you know, a piano and strings and stuff like that.
And you do all those plugins and patches from Ableton, like the sound libraries that come in there?
Not the ones that come like stock with Ableton. I have a lot of plugins and stuff. Like,
and you just have like a MIDI keyboard, so you just kind of
do everything else on a MIDI keyboard except the bass part.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then what do you use to record the bass? Do you...
Man, I just go direct. I have like I'm gonna get the bass bone, tone bone DI. You ever hear about those? A radial bass bone.
Honestly, when I used to subscribe to whatever bass player magazine,
it was on the back of it.
They would always be advertising those. What was it? Tone bones.
Tone bones.
Yep.
So I got one.
Victor Wooten plays them. And
yeah. I got one of those probably like, I don't know, 8 years ago off Craigslist for like $100. Mm-hmm. And I love it. And I got it for cheap because like the power cable is like messed up and all taped together, so you can't really stretch it out. And I'm like, I'm using this for at home in the studio, so I don't care.
Can't you find a new cable though?
I probably could, but I just like, I just leave it next to the, you know.
But it's not one of those like where the cable is literally part of the device.
No,
you can actually like just
take it.
Get it. Yeah.
But
fair enough. Yeah.
I could definitely, I could easily get a new one.
It's like I mean, if it breaks, we'll just get a new one.
I have it. But I just plug in direct into the, you know, my audio interface of like a PreSonus audio box, like simple one, like nothing crazy. Mm-hmm. If there was one thing I would probably upgrade in my studio, it would be that, because I feel like that's a big, important piece of getting a good sound.
What is?
The audio interface.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I use what's called Apogee One mic.
Yeah,
and it's basically just like you connect it's like this little device. You connect it to your computer, and then you can connect like a 1/4 inch into it, and then you can also connect.
Does it have that big knob on it?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can turn it. Yeah. And I mean, it gets the job done.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I like it. I just always think in the back of my head, I'm like, what if I had a really nice one?
Yeah.
You know?
Spend that money on that nice one. Yeah.
But I just record direct in there into Ableton, and then I use some plugins on the back end to like. I try to leave my sound as natural as possible, especially with being kind of the lead instrument. Like if I was like doing a reggae band and playing bass, I would be cutting my highs like a ton on the back end in the EQ and like boosting the lows and then compressing the crap out of it to get it like boomy but tight at the same time. You know what I mean? But for mine, I really just want the bass to shine through, so I don't really do too much. There's some cool Waves Audio makes like these SSL plugins.
Do you play around with a lot of effects pedals in general, or you? Because I know you keep a pretty clean, pretty balanced EQ tone. It's not really too low end driven, too high end. It's just kind of like.
If anything, I scoop the tone and scoop the mids a little bit, which people say not to do. But
no, that's what I do. No, I usually do like the EQ. I usually have it kind of like a tiny.
Oh, so I'm talking going down.
Oh, you go down.
I would boost the bass and the treble a little bit.
Well, it depends. I mean.
Well, I do a lot of slapping, and that's really where I feel like the scooping gets it sounding good.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, those Waves Audio SSL plugins are pretty sweet. Because I don't know if you use the SSL board.
I don't know what really it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, where did you guys record it at the Funk U studio?
Yeah, Piranha Studios, and we're working on our next EP there.
So basically, probably that big board that they have, with all the knobs and stuff.
Yeah.
It's probably an SSL or something based off it, and it's just really easy to like. Here's like your 4 bands, low, low, mid, high, and then here's your compressor, and it's just like simple turns of the knobs, so you don't really have to think of anything, and they just kind of put the knobs on the computer for you, and you spin them. Yeah,
and I mean, we're doing that album, and then I'm in a new project where it's instrumental. It's just a 3-piece trio, and the drummer is a producer too, and he just finished kind of building his own studio in his garage.
Nice.
And it's pretty nice. It has like a control room and little studio space, and he's going to be recording the next one. But as far as the production stuff, it's like I'm just kind of like listen back and I'm like, oh, that's too trebly, and like just like okay, I'll turn on the treble. It's like, I'm pretty. As far as like getting into like the specifics of like recording, engineering and stuff, it's like it's a little over my pay grade. Like I just kind of
I mean, I felt like I had to learn it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I wanted to make an album and release it, but as you said, I don't want to pay studio time or people to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And to be honest, it's like the craziest thing about it is like if you're talking about this is like a rough cut versus like the final cut. It's like really only the engineers and those guys, they'll be able to really notice like what you did. But it's like the average person, even the average musician, like I don't really even notice it that much. I'm like, wait, so how is this that? What'd you do differently?
Yeah, I agree. Unless, like the one thing that if I had an unlimited amount of money and like could do it, I would record drums in a studio and put them on like live drums.
Yeah, no, that is definitely a big one because it's like Logic has this amazing thing called Smart Drummer. I don't know if Ableton has something similar.
And
it's kind of like you can literally be like, I want. It's really interesting. So it'll be like, okay, I'm looking for a rock drummer, and then it'll have like the rock section, and then it'll have kind of 4 avatars where it'll be like, this guy is more of a East Coast type rock drummer, and then this guy's more of a rockabilly, and then you kind of then you kind of pick this persona, and then it'll have like 10 different presets for like, oh, this is a classic blues shuffle drum crit, and then it'll just have this nice 8-bar loop.
Yeah.
And then within the thing, you can actually be like, okay, I want some more snare, and then it'll add more snare. It'll be like, okay, I want it swung more. It's like, okay, I want more fills.
That's pretty cool. So you kind of just like set parameters.
Yeah, and then you can kind of keep adjusting and be like, nah, that's too much of this, and you can kind of turn it out. But then the cool thing is once you get kind of like your pre-made loop, you can put it, and then you can basically drag it to another instrument. But basically what that does is now you can actually see each one of the hits.
Yeah.
And then you can actually literally go in and be like, all right, I'm going to delete that snare hit, or I'm going to add this one. And then you can kind of get it real close.
Yeah.
And I mean, since it's already kind of like pre-made in Logic, the drums, sound very, very good. But at the same time, they're like, it's...
You can tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
That's my whole thing is like... Yeah,
but it's really nice... Because I use Logic a lot of times to make like rap beats, and since it's like trap drums, those are already kind of like synthesized drumming, so it doesn't really matter. You don't really need live drums because most rap songs don't have live drums. Yeah, so it's like. But if I'm trying to make like a rock song and I use the preset drummer, it's like I need like an actual.
And like I just always think the fills when people are. It's too hard to replicate a human making fills on a drum for a computer. Yeah. I haven't seen it done.
They're like too good.
Yeah.
they're
exactly.
Like,
they are
they're
too good.
Creepily, in this program, you can make the drum fills so insane where it's like no human can play that.
Yeah.
And not only can they play that, but literally it's quantized perfectly. So it's like it's perfect.
And and then it doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good to me.
Yeah, because it's perfect. Because that's a big thing like with music where it's like even kind of like. I get recording to a click track, but honestly, it's like D'Angelo's Voodoo Proof, man. It's like you can
sit back
you
in
do
the
not
pocket
need
as far as possible.
it's like you do not need a click track to groove, like, and kind of like this whole like it's like, oh, that hit was late. It's like, man, that's just part of the funk. That's just part of the swampy. Like you want things to be late.
Yeah, there's been times where I've like made mistakes and I'm like,
yeah, it works.
Do I change that or no? And I'm like. And then the funny thing is I'll change it being like it's a mistake, and then I'll like go back and listen to it.
Then you hear it real,
and I'm like, undo.
You hear it correct, it's just like...
It's like, it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like all the muscle shoals, all that stuff. I mean, it wasn't like click track. It was just...
Yeah, they were just playing.
Recorded, yeah. And I just think it sounds way better because it's kind of like the nuances where it's like, all right, the drummer sped up a little bit in the track, but then so do the rest of the band with it. So it's kind of like it works, And
I don't know. I think it also makes just recording more comfortable, especially for a drummer. Like I've just seen a lot of drummers struggle with the click track recording.
Yeah. No, I
don't blame them.
Yeah, but another thing is I think that click track just makes it so that I think the reason producers want the click track is because they know if they do it that way. Then it'll take a lot longer to record, so therefore they'll get more money.
I didn't think about that.
That's what I think it is.
The click track conspiracy?
Because the click track conspiracy. Because you'll do the scratch track, the drummer will lay it down, and then the bassist will record another. The bassist will record a track over, then the guitarist, and then so it's everyone's recording at separate times.
Yeah.
Or it's like, why can't we let's just set up the mics, and so it's like, let's just record it live. Let's everyone, because that's how they did it. Like, what was that studio where it's like they had the documentary about it? Dave Grohl was behind. Was it? Dave
I thought
Grohl?
That was the Muscle Shoals one, right?
That could have been. It's the one where Tom Petty recorded Renegade. Fleetwood Mac recorded.
I don't remember
studio.
Who was in it.
But anyway,
I thought Grohl was the Muscle Shoals.
It might be a different one. I think it's an LA studio because Muscle Shoals was in Alabama? Yeah, I think this was like an LA studio. But anyway, so it was like Tom Petty, the way they recorded that is like they would literally play those songs 80 times in a row, and if someone messed up, from the top.
Yeah, you used to have to start over.
Yeah.
That's insane though too.
But it's like, yeah, no, that is insane. But it's like, I think obviously Tom Petty, it would, he could afford to do.
Yeah.
He could afford to do, 80 recordings of the same thing. But, for most bands, I think it's like, if your band is tight on the song, like you've been performing that song, like you've been rehearsing that song, and you go in the studio, it's like, all right, let's play this 8 times.
Yeah.
Record, end. Record, end. And it's like, which was the best one?
Yeah. I also just think studio, it gets to your nerves a little bit. And it's like, does everyone have to play perfect the whole way through on one track? Or can we kind of... I wish there was like a middle, and I'm sure there is, I just don't really know what it is. Like how you can do like live tracks, but kind of separate them out so that you can take pieces from ones that were
But then it starts sounding like when the producer has to go in and like
No, then it probably sounds like
fix it's like, all right, let's replace this 2-second fill. It's like I like this other fill from because I think that's what they do. Like
they definitely do.
Yeah.
They like cut and paste.
But I mean, I don't know about you, but like kind of the studio stuff. It's like, do you think it's easier to record with the band versus you record your own part after they recorded their part? You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, you're the only one playing. It's like, all right, lay down the bass. It's like, you just play it by your own.
I don't know. That's a good question because I feel like with the band, you might not be as focused. You know? Could you ever do that when you're playing and you're like, oh, we're in a groove, and then
Kinda
you're not paying attention,
and
then you're like, oh, we changed to the next part, and I was still back here. But, so I think focus-wise, I'd rather be by myself, but I think I'd be more comfortable playing with the band.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, which one? And I feel like...
But then I also think it's like with bass fills and stuff, it's like if you're actually playing live and you can like look at that drummer and you kind of connect...
Yeah.
And your fills will be connected versus like he does his drum fill and you try to figure out a bass fill
for his drum.
Instead of like you both kind of come up with what you did in the moment.
That's true. I agree with that too. I try honestly I don't really try to do all that many bass fills these days. I try to take the James Brown approach. Like you play your groove and you stick to it.
I just can't help it.
Yeah, I mean sometimes I can't.
You just hear that. You just get bored. I mean, that's with me. It's just like literally, and I mean I'm just like I kind of like playing in groups where, like I've said this before, but it's like playing bass is so much different when you play with a trio versus when you play in a 4-piece band where there's 2 guitars.
Oh yeah.
Like when there's literally like a rhythm guitar and a lead guitar. But like when you play in a trio, like the bass has to do like so much more stuff.
You just gotta like figure out what you gotta fill more room. And especially like if the guitar solos too. Like if you're in a trio and the guitar is soloing, it's like, all right, he's dropping out. He's been playing chords this whole song, right? So
I mean, no one was better at that than Geezer Butler. Geezer Butler was so good at filling because like all he would do was just pentatonic. He would just be like, just all day just pentatonics.
And I just think Flea's pretty good at it too.
I love Flea.
Yeah, you got the Flea bass.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Well, I mean, it's I couldn't resist. It was the 62 jazz bass with the stack knobs.
Yeah, those stack knobs sounded really interesting.
And it's in that shell pink. It's like that road worn.
Yeah.
And I'm also a big believer where it's like, if you're gonna, because I consider like buying basses and stuff an investment to a certain degree, because I mean if you pick the right instruments they'll appreciate and you can like resell them for more than what you got them for.
Yeah.
And I think getting like artist signature models is one of the best moves.
I think so too. I mean, you know when Flea had those like cheap Flea basses? I bet if you had one of those, it's probably like $700 or $800.
Yeah,
and it was like 200, 300.
Yeah. No, I literally had the Omar Rodriguez Lopez, who's the guy from Mars Volta. I bought his signature guitar in 2009ish.
Yeah.
And I just kind of got sick of it. I bought it for $495.
Yeah, they discontinue it.
Yeah, they discontinue it. I put it on reverb. It literally had dings. I was like, hey, this bass has dings. But literally, mine was the only one available for sale. Yeah. No, on the internet.
Oh man.
in black.
Yeah,
they had ones in white, but he released it in 3 colors: black, white, and this kind of like it's kind of similar to that orange, kind of like right here, that orange.
Yeah.
And I resold it for I think almost $700.
Yeah,
and I was like, it was used, had dings, and I made more $200 on it.
No, I think that's a good idea too.
Yeah.
It all depends on, I think, who it is, and because I think the Mars Volta kind of has that niche group of people that really love the Mars Volta, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they like someone looking through guitar. And like, I want to sound like him.
But at the end of the day, it's like I feel like that's with really any band. It's like, you know, if you get the Mastodon signature bass or it's like whatever, it's like there's there's whatever the band is. There's fanatics out there. If the band is big enough for one of the members gets a signature bass,
someone's gonna.
There's fanatics enough out there who's like, they have the signature, whatever, Dave Mustaine guitar. It's like, well, that's Megadeth. That's a pretty big band.
Yeah. Well, I feel like signature basses are probably one of the few that appreciate them, right? Because
I'm sure the guitars do too. I mean,
well, yeah, that's what I meant. But the signature ones, I mean, if you get a Fender,
oh yeah, like
it's going down in price.
Oh yeah,
it, right?
Oh yeah. You're talking about it's like you just get a 2009 Fender jazz bass.
Yeah. I mean, nothing unless it's like vintage at this point, like or a signature series. Nothing new coming out is going to be like
because a Fender 2003 jazz bass, it'll sell less than a new 2019 jazz bass.
This bass is discontinued. They don't make it anymore. But
that's kind of like
bought it for way less than.
But I remember you telling me about it. This bass is there. It's some kind of limited series, right? It has like the
No, it was just they made a 24 fret jazz bass in like the mid 2000s, and then I guess people weren't buying them. They stopped making them.
And that's the thing. It's like I bet people would love them now because like I would love a 24.
Dude, this was like when I bought this bass, I was like, this is the one that I was supposed to get, and it's been great. I love jazz basses. It's what I've learned on, and then I went to a 5-string. And when I went back to jazz bass, I was like, what was I doing?
I just have realized about me, it's like, I do not like 5-string basses. Like, I've never picked one up and I've been like, I love this 5-string bass. I've never picked up a 5-string bass and been like, I love this.
I play a 7-string. I got a 7-string last year.
See, no, I like 6 and up. I like the high strings. I guess the low B is just like, I feel like a low B is pretty cool.
Well, after I got this bass, I made my 5-string to have the high C instead of the low B.
Yep.
And that's when I started doing like really melodic stuff.
I think that's what John Ferrara and Consider the Source does.
I don't know about you. You heard of Wayman Tisdale? Okay. He played in the NBA and was like a really sick freaking jazz bassist. And he had I think he played a piccolo bass with the high C too. So it was like a very weird.
Dude, have you listened to Xander's On?
Yes, I have.
Oh my god! I don't know what that kind of bass is called, where it literally has like a guitar string on the high one.
Yeah, I don't know either. He's awesome though.
Oh, dude, that guy is the sickest. I mean, I think.
Well, I just don't even know how you think about stuff that way, in that way, because I'm always like, how do I play that? And then I play it like kind of how it is, and he's like, okay, I need to put it in this tuning and do all this stuff, and then
with all these weird do you like the.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, he does all that weird stuff, and then he plays everything all at once, and you're just like, this is
so
genius.
Sick. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like when it comes. I don't know about you, but I'm very picky when it comes to basses and especially guitars, but I feel like even more picky. I'm probably more picky with guitars, but with basses, like I don't really like anything besides like Fenders for the most part.
I'm really not that picky.
Really?
As long as I like the neck. If I like the neck, that's all that really matters to me. Well, I got this Fender and my 7-string's an Ibanez.
I do like Ibanez's, yeah.
But I play it. I kind of work close to Sam Ash, so I'll go on my lunch break and go over there and jam.
The one at Vinings?
Yeah, the one by Cumberland.
Yeah, there. Yeah.
And this week, actually, they had like a 4-string Yamaha, like TRB 1000 or something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is.
I've always wanted to play the Billy Sheehan signature Yamaha.
Yeah,
I always see that
with
online.
Like the cut in,
the
cut frets and stuff, so that you can.
I've always seen those online, but they're like $2,500, and I've just never seen one in stores. Oh yeah, they're
expensive.
They're pricey. Yeah.
I haven't seen one in stores either.
I've never seen one in stores. But yeah, Yamaha. I don't think I've really ever played Yamaha, but like I think as far as basses go, it's just like. To be honest, it's like this bass is just like one of my favorites. I think this is the Badass bridge.
Yeah.
Which I just love this bridge. This is the 70s jazz bass neck with the black inlays.
What is the 70s different from the other ones? Is it thicker or thinner? Or?
I couldn't. It's a little thicker, but I think it's the best neck for slapping.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's like the Flea jazz bass. It's similar to this, where it's like
this one's
thinner.
like super thin. Yeah.
Yeah. But honestly, when it comes to slapping, like I like a little more space.
Yeah.
But with this kind, it's best for like actually doing like really fast runs. But with slapping, I like a little bit more space.
Yeah.
And I just think this neck is just so amazing for slapping. And to me, it's just like the P bass pickups and then the bridge jazz bass. I just think that's one of the best pickup configurations.
Yeah. I straight up have never owned a PJ, and it's like on my list in the back of my head.
Yeah, no, this one I bought used for like $600. Then I upgraded the pickups, which I pretty much do with most of the instruments I get. This is the Seymour Duncan Antiquity 2 jazz bass pickup, which is modeled after Jocko's that he won for Jocko. And then these are just the Fender 62 original.
Oh, okay. I think
pickups.
he says Seymour Duncan bass lines. Mm-hmm. Is that what they are? Or is it Seymour Duncan? Yeah, I think so. And it's actually kind of funny because when I bought the bass, I was like, I'm going to change those out.
Yeah.
And then they're still here.
Yeah.
Because I thought, like, when I was looking it up, they're like, those are like really good for rock and stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm not playing that, so maybe I'll get like.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's another thing. It's like.
But I've loved them, so I'm like, why change it?
Yeah, I'd rather just get the Mexican Fenders. I mean, in my price range eventually, and then get pickup upgrades.
Yeah.
Because then you can buy the exact kind of pickup that you want. Because it's like there's so many out there and online, and you can hear the samples. You can see it's like, all right, this one's better for rock or whatever. Like I have a guitar up there, and it has a humbucker, and I got the Jimmy Page whole lot of humbucker. Which is modeled after his Les Paul signature ones, and I'm like, how
many guitars do you have? You play a lot?
Electric guitars I only have one, and then electric basses I have 3.
I have one electric guitar with 5 strings on it.
Yeah.
And they're all rusted. Like it doesn't get any attention. Yeah. But I have one. But I don't know. Guitar doesn't do it for me. Strings are too small.
I like guitar. Just it's so much easier to like write songs. I think just like with actually being able to play the chords. You can do the.
Are you writing like lyrics songs or like just?
Yeah, lyric songs.
See, I don't do the lyrics. I can't write lyrics at all. So I'm like, wouldn't really. Wouldn't need that. No,
I feel that. Let's go through. Well, first off, do you have any that come to mind? But do you have an all-time favorite bass riff that you like playing? Or just like one of your favorite bass riffs to play?
Oh, man. I mean, you gotta go like Brick House or something. I feel like, something like old school funk that's not too. Exactly. But, dude, I mean, even like, I don't know. Was it Pusher Man?
Oh, yeah.
Like, so I like that simple stuff that like plays the whole, like almost plays the whole song, and you're just like, oh, that grooves.
Yeah. That whole score to Superfly.
Yeah.
It's so good. All that music's so good.
Well, it's my brother. I'm like, he got that Superfly album on vinyl like a few weeks ago. And he's like, why didn't you tell me how good this was? I was like, I did. Tell you how good it was. You just haven't listened to it.
And then, okay, so as far as I guess some of your favorite warm-up routines, like what do you think are some of the best ways to like loosen up on bass, or do you do much like warm-up stuff, or kind of just go right after it?
No, I think you got to do a little bit, especially if you're, I mean, it kind of depends what you're playing. Like when I was doing the reggae, I wasn't slamming my body as much as like slapping a lot of fast, I wasn't even playing that fast yet. So like, you didn't have to, I just like stretch a little bit and stuff, but nothing crazy. But like I always just like doing.
Oh, the chromatic, yeah.
Just go back and forth and just keep going up, and it just like stretches out your hand a little bit. The right hand, if you're like, just do something like double note.
Yep. So you do the down up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I do. And one thing that I've been working on is, do you ever do the down up pop?
Yeah. Well, you can do the two too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I basically there's like a old Victor Wooten VHS, the super bass solo techniques.
Where he goes over the basic classical thump is all like.
Oh yeah, it was like I made this as a training song basically.
Which is most.
Yeah.
Which is most Victor Wooten in my opinion. It's like it's a little too. It's a little too much. Just sounds like an exercise that he made into.
It all depends. Yeah. So there's like a couple albums that. Have you ever heard like the Live in America album with like all his brothers and stuff? And it's just a live album, like 2 discs. It's like incredible.
Oh yeah.
And then,
I need to check that out.
And then some of like his studio stuff, I'm just like, why?
Yeah, and also that one of my favorite like just kind of like warm up runs is that Sinister Minister part where it's like.
You actually hit that twice. I do like a hammer on.
Oh, you do the hammer on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do that. That is a new thing that I've been working on. There's a song I wrote recently, and the riff goes like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love that.
Cool. Yeah.
Where you do the hammer on and then another thump.
I do that on everything almost. Not everything, because sometimes like the hammer on doesn't like really give a good like hit on the one, because you're kind of hitting a lot of notes on the one. So like, I think sometimes you gotta kind of just be like, bam,
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, because I've been trying to like really mess with like timing and stuff, because sometimes I'm like, feel like I'm just slamming, like it's all like one just like fast slap instead of like. Being intricate, like within the quickness.
So let me ask you something. One thing that I've really noticed with like a lot of slap lines for me, it's like I'm trying to figure out a way to make it so that it's not like, all right, this is just a slap line in C, where it's like where it's like I feel like this is a big thing that's like tough to like get out of in jamming a lot, where it's like, all right, we're doing a C jam, where you have to like. Where it's like, or it's like you're just jamming on C and you're like.
I just find whenever someone's like jamming this, I'm not like that inspired by it.
Yeah.
So I'm usually play the same stuff over and over, and then I'm like, playing with fifths and stuff, and then like so. I don't know. I like having time to like flesh stuff out in my head, like. Here's a song we're gonna play. This is how it goes. And I'd probably at the beginning just be jamming and see like doing normal stuff. But then at least like I'd have days to like think about it and be like, oh, I can do this, and like who knows what that is. But like I don't know. I like having the time to think it through instead of just like this works. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, because I would do the same thing if someone was like slapping C. I'd just be like. You
keep having to do that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the funk formula where it's like, I'm sure you've seen that Bootsy video where it's like.
Just play the one, it doesn't matter. That video cracks me up, to be honest. I'm like, I don't know. Everyone like refers to that video. I'm like, I don't think he explained it though.
Yeah. It's like, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
And honestly, that is his bread and butter. That is what he does.
Yeah, for sure.
That is exactly what he does. Yeah.
But it's just like, I remember first watching it, I'm like, okay, so I just play at the beginning and then anything else sounds good. Just make sure to go back on the one. I'm like, that's not true. I play wrong notes out at tempo. And it won't sound good.
But I guess recently, have there been any new techniques? Like, because I think this is very true with a lot of musicians, or I can just kind of assume it is, where it's like I feel like you kind of, this is kind of where you think you're at, and then you kind of keep practicing. And then you keep practicing, and you still feel like you're here. But then eventually, you have that kind of like aha day where it's like, oh, all this stuff I've been working on for the past like 3 months has kind of like all clicked in a way where it's like, oh, now I know how to.
Or I can do this without thinking. Or
where it's
trying,
like oh.
I think that's what it is to me. It's like when you can do something long enough that you're like, I don't have to think about it. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not thinking this is a new technique. Yeah. Concentrate. You just do it.
But it's just like a big one that I found recently is just like it's just perfect for funk, but just messing with switching between minors, thirds, sixths, and sevenths. Okay. And you basically just go from the minor to like the major. So like an example is like I wrote this song recently where it's the riff is like. Okay. Yeah. And it's basically it's like it's just like real funky where it's like you go from that minor to the major seventh. So it's like the riff is basically it's in E, so you do that's just the octave, minor seventh to the major seventh. Yeah. And then that's just the fourth to the tritone, but then this is the minor third to the major third.
Yeah, that's really cool. But I think that's like I really feel like that's how most jazz is, but just faster. If that makes sense. You like jazz solos where you're like, oh, that wasn't in the scale.
Yeah, well, no, I've seen like things on it where it's like literally it's like the bebop scale is where it's where it's just like, and then it'll just do like, it's like all the chromatic at the end. It's just all chromatic at the end. It's like, well, they're not wrong. Yeah. I mean, that is kind of what they do. And it'll be like, the bebop scale will be like. Yeah. And it's just like, well, that's pretty much sense. Like, that's pretty much just 10 of the notes. Yeah,
exactly.
The chromatic scale.
Don't play these two.
Yeah.
That's pretty. I was like trying to play with these jazz guys. We were like doing a trio sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And it just got to be like too much time, and also it was stressing me out because we were doing like Run for Cover by Marcus and stuff, and I was doing my YouTube videos during the week and stuff. So I would have like Saturday to like go through these like tracks that were kicking my ass, and then it would be like, all right, we rehearse it Sunday. Yeah. And I'm like going in there just like sweating, like, dude, this is getting stressful. So I had to like stop doing that. Those guys were like incredible musicians though, and the fact that I could hang for a little bit, which like, made it worth it. But like the guy playing guitar, it was like guitar, drummer, and me. The guy playing guitar would play like the guitar part, the keyboard part, and like then do the solos all like kind of intertwined. And I was just like, what are you doing? This is incredible.
Sick.
Why am I here? Yeah.
But, yeah, man, I love playing with jazz guitarists. Like, man, the world of jazz guitar, when you listen to those guys like Joe Pass and stuff, and you just realize like how much you can do on one instrument.
Just how not good you are at music.
Yeah. That's just crazy. But yeah, so I mean, as far as like kind of like new techniques that you found recently, is there any kind of like I guess ways like if you're in this jam, new ways you've thought about it that makes it a lot easier to kind of like contextualize what you're doing or how you approach it, or maybe just like a new technique that you figured out. It's like, oh, if you're playing over an E chord, this is like a really cool technique you can do, or a really cool fill or whatever, you know.
Technique wise, the people that have been pressing me are these crazy tapping guys that somehow don't have string vibrations going on. They make it sound good, you know what I mean? Like John from Consider the Source, he does some stuff where I'm like, what the hell was that?
No, in a good way. He's ridiculous, and it's like when Doctor Strangelove, like a couple years ago, we actually opened up for them, and I mean, the first time I saw Consider the Source, my buddy was like, hey, do you want to go to Terminal West? These awesome bands are playing. I had never heard of them. Yeah. And it was so wild. Like, when you see Consider the Source and you literally have no idea, you've never heard of them, and you see the dude with the fretless guitar.
The guitar, yeah.
They did, like, Paranoid Android, and it's like, what is going on? But yeah, it's like, I started to mess around with the tapping stuff because I like John Ferrara's type of tapping way more than kind of like Billy Sheehan's.
Yes.
Where Billy Sheehan's is kind of more like.
Yeah, I like the chordal stuff.
Yeah, but like one thing, I made up this thing a while ago where I played it live, but it's like.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and I mean that tapping stuff is
like
so fun. It's tough to do in a band setting.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
you can't really do it at all.
But I mean, for what you do, it's like it seems perfect.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I do it some. I don't do it not like as much as some people like do it crazy. You know, like Stu Ham and stuff. You're listening.
Yeah,
to
I've heard that.
He does like a lot of awesome tapping stuff. And that's really where I like started learning it back in like middle school was from him. 'Cause
Yeah.
he did like a lot. He had this one song that was like country music or something.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I
still
mean,
so fun.
it is really interesting. Just like, cause I kind of like it. Because for me, it's like one of my favorite genres of music is like Indian music. Like Indian music just has the coolest rhythms to me, and just like I think just
I like the microtonal stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't understand it at all, but I'm like that's stuff I can.
I mean, the whole microtonal thing, it's pretty simple. I mean, a sitar is the exact same thing as a guitar. I mean, it's like it's a string and then it has like a fret.
Fretless then?
No, I mean it's like it has these weird like kind of like curved over frets. I mean, literally a microtone is just
I have a fretless bass, so like I've tried to play around with it.
Yeah, I mean, literally just playing an E, bending it up a quarter is a microtone. Yeah, it's just tones in between.
But I guess they have like the ability to play them more easily, right? Like their frets are are they not in microtones?
No.
Oh, they just do that somehow.
Well, no, all they do is just it's like they just bend it a lot more. And I mean, I think it's just easier because like a sitar, the way it is, it's I think it's kind of like the bottom strings you can kind of drone. And then you can kind of do these melodies, and since there's just droning notes,
it kind of gets that.
You can get away with doing a lot more microtones because you're not playing with the whole band. You know?
No, that makes sense.
Because I mean, I think it's like when they're playing with the kind of I don't know what the instrument called, but it's like the Indian version of an oboe, where it kind of sounds very similar to an oboe. I don't think when the sitar is matching the oboe, they're doing really like microtone stuff.
Yeah, they're playing together.
Yeah, they're playing together. Yeah, they're playing kind of like to the
Western
thing. But when it's kind of more of that ambient, where it's just like literally a sitar and tablas, it's like you can get away with doing really weird harmonies and stuff.
I mean, that's true with everything. Like, I can get away with way more weird stuff in Professor John than playing with people.
Yeah. I mean, that new Tool single.
I actually have not heard.
Oh my god!
I know. I'm the only person.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just.
I heard everyone talking about it, and I was like, I gotta check that out. But that hasn't happened yet.
Man, I love Justin Chancellor in that band. But I mean, even that song, I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with microtones because one of the riffs is he's kind of like doing like this weird like.
Yeah.
And it'll alternate between doing a half step up and then doing like a quarter.
Yeah. So that's cool. I like when people do that, like intentionally. Mm-hmm. I feel like they get.
I mean, even a lot of the. I mean, you consider blues music. I mean, a lot lot of that is microtones. When you see those guys doing like.
Yeah, they bend up.
They'll just kind of bend up a little bit. Like, I mean, shit. All who is it? Albert King.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy.
Hudson too did a lot of like bending and microtonal stuff.
Freddie King. Albert King doesn't make sense. I've never understood those people who is just like they're left-handed and then they just literally turn the bass or the guitar upside down and then they just don't restring it. Like they literally, it's like, it's like, all right, this is
Mono Neon.
No,
does
it's like
that.
I do the slapping this way. It's just like
Mono Neon does that.
Yeah, and he's crazy.
Well, and I remember the first time I saw a video of him, I'm like, how is he playing this? And I'm like, grabbed my bass, of course. I'm like. Oh, I can't. This doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And he's like slapping on the wrong strings. Because like when you learn slap at the beginning, you're like, slap on the lower strings, you pop the higher strings, as a basic sort of thing.
Oh yeah, Mono Neon is just. I guess, insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as like on your YouTube channel, you do a lot of covers where you'll do the vocal cover.
Yeah.
I'm guessing I kind of do that similarly sometimes on guitar. I'll kind of do the vocal, but like, is your approach just listening to it
Yeah,
a bunch of time and then just like figuring it out?
Okay, so I have the 10-year-old. He's over there playing video games. He, we listen to a lot of pop radio, unfortunately. But it's funny because at the beginning I was like, man, this stuff sucks, and now I'm like,
grows on you.
It's not even grows on you. I find stuff in there and I'm like, that was really cool. Especially when you like break it down, you're like, this is because everyone's it all sounds the same. It doesn't. Yeah. It's not all the same.
No, there is like some cool tricks where it's like you really don't notice it, but it'll be like that Katy Perry song had a weird 5/4 measure.
Yeah.
At the end of that bridge, they just did a quick 5/4.
But then you also just see like patterns in pop music where it's at the beginning of the verse, you kind of start here and then you kind of go up a step and do it in that mode at the end of the verse to kind of build some tension and stuff. And I'm like, if I didn't do this, I wouldn't think about it.
Yeah, you figure out how to make better hooks and stuff.
Yeah, well, I really did it. I was talking about Wayman Tisdale earlier. He did like on some of his albums, he did covers that was basically him playing the vocal part. He did like Get Down on It by Kool and the Gang and like Ain't No Stopping Us Now by McFadden and Whitehead. Mm-hmm. And I like love those songs and the covers that he did of them. So I was kind of like, I should do this to get my ear better, to get my soloing better.
And for me at least, it's like when you try to replicate what the vocal's doing, it just like
it gives you a little weird.
You just understand melody. Like I just feel like as a bassist, like you learn those pop melodies and it's like it'll be this wild melody, but then you'll realize it's like, oh, they're just like this melody is basically just rearranging a B major. Yeah. Starting on the third, it'll be like, oh, it starts with the third, goes to the fourth, goes to the fifth, and then goes to the high B. And it's like, it's literally just a B major chord. Yeah. And it's like this really famous melody, and it's like, oh. Yeah.
But to your point, like a lot of vocalists, like, they're not singing with straight note, when they sing. So it's like usually you gotta like slide into it or hammer into it to kind of get those inflections. And that's what I like. Or I feel like has helped my playing the most from doing that is doing these little inflection things. So now in my solos, I'll throw that in there, and it'll sound more like I don't know. I just think vocals are the best solo instrument, which is why we listen to people sing.
It's also just like that's a great point because I think. If you play flute, you play saxophone, you play like a woodwind instrument. Yeah, it's much easier. It's much easier to replicate the phrasing of a vocal because, like, vocals, it's so much easier to phrase. And I feel like the biggest problem with most guitarists or bassists is that their phrasing is just like too consistent. Where it's like they'll do a phrase and it's just like, and just everything is dun 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 dun. But then it's like, all right, think of that. How would a vocalist sing that? And you'd be like, and it's like they probably wouldn't be as loud. The last note wouldn't be as loud as the middle note. It's like they'd be like da 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 da, or just like however they'd phrase it.
Exactly.
And because it's like with guitar, it's like I'm a big believer. It's like kind of that golfing phrase where it's like you drive for show, you putt for dough. Yeah. It's kind of like with guitar. It's like your left hand's for show, but your right hand is the dough. It's like how you really touch that string and how you actually get off your phrasing is like so much more important. I mean, look no further than Jocko. That guy, like, he's just the master of phrasing.
He really is.
And I mean, with a fretless, you can definitely phrase better. Because it lends to that. You can kind of get that more milky, vocally.
It's a little smoother to play,
it's easier to do vibrato.
I don't know if have you ever played one or play one? You play upright though, so you.
I have a fretless electric. Yeah. I'm gonna bring it down in a second. Chud. So have you never seen that bass?
I think I have.
It's the Frankenstein bass. It's like real wild. I'll bring it down in a second.
P-bass?
Yeah, it's P-bass.
Okay, I think I have seen it. Yeah. No, but I just like think the phrasing and stuff has like helped. Just me think about things different.
Yeah, honestly. Like replicating those vocalists, it's like,
And then just like the rhythms they do, and like how they hold note. Like, as you said with the flute, it's vocals and like those woodwind instruments. I think are the best solo instruments because they have to breathe.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have a guy shredding your face off,
Yeah,
and you're going to be like, okay, stop.
It's also it's also one of those unfair advantages because it's like a flute, you can actually sustain a note like for like a full bar.
Yeah.
But like a bass doesn't really have like sustain like a flute like.
No.
Well, that sustains, but it's like not the way like a flute does. But that's especially true with like mandolin. Like you have to do.
You're not making noise.
Like you can't just do.
Yeah.
And it'll sustain. Like mandolins really have no sustain. Like. But like. Yeah, with like a sax, you can actually.
Yeah. But the thing is, then you have to breathe to play the next note, so you have to have some space in there. So you're kind of being a vocalist at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Or it's like.
Yeah.
Instead of being like you couldn't really do that kind of phrasing with the sax. Like you'd have to do that.
Well, it's just like, I mean, I'm thinking more like metal. You know, some guy's shredding and it's like 8 bars of shred.
Oh yeah.
Sax can't do that because he's got to take a breath.
Yeah.
And that, I think, having that space in there is what makes it sound more natural to like our ears, instinctually, almost like, you know, not that we can control it. Like, I don't know. I've read a lot of weird books about music and how it affects your brain and how it.
Oh yeah.
Like,
this is your brain on music.
Yeah, that was one of them for sure. Did you read that?
I have it. I haven't read it.
Oh, okay, dude. Yeah, and that one goes into like cavemen and stuff, and like how music started probably by like cavemen being bored, like basically. Yeah. And then it's like music has been through every era of humans, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, this
to like think about.
Yeah, this new project I'm doing. It's me and my friend Ben, and we're basically making these medieval songs, kind of in that kind of vein. And like
is this the instrumental thing you're talking about?
No, this is like mandolin, acoustic guitar, and then like in the studio I'll probably have like upright bass and like maybe some like flute and maybe some like just like big kettle
light
drums.
Stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like real. The songs like I've written like 6 of them. And the songs are like real, kind of like story driven, like these fantasy, like about knights and stuff.
That's tight.
Yeah. And it's like, but then because of that, like I've gone back and listened to these, like I've been researching. It's like, all right, what are these like literally 400-year-old folk songs?
Yeah.
And they're just dope.
And you're like
you listen to them, and I'm like, this is amazing.
Why does no one know about it? Yeah.
Yeah, I have this playlist called Old Folk, and it's just like these crazy songs, and they're so good. Like one of them is just so cool because it's literally just 2 guys. It's completely a cappella.
Yeah.
It's just they're both singing, and they do like it's like 4 verses. It's like a 4-minute song, but it's just all a cappella. It's just sweet.
Dude, you know Anthony Wellington? He does a lot of bass instruction stuff, and he plays like backup bass to Victor Wooten when he goes on tour.
Oh,
okay. A lot of times.
Backup bass.
Rhythm bass. But he crushes. Yeah, but he would do a lot of clinics here at the Atlanta Bass Gallery when it was still open. And I would go to a bunch of them. And one thing he was talking about, he was like, I've done my research. You know, I've started from the beginning of music and went through and listened to every like music category in order. So I was trying to do that at some point, but I got sidetracked. Well, there's so much. Like,
yeah, I mean, I did IB music in high school, and I mean that's kind of what it was. It's like all right, we're starting off. I guess what's considered the first music is Gregorian chant.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. You listen to the chants and stuff, and then you're like, okay, and then you get some light music behind.
And then it's like all right, and then also in this time it was called troubadour music, where it'd be basically like a street musician just kind of like playing what's called secular music, because back then it was like all sacred music.
Yeah.
Or it's like the church would be the ones to
put it out or something.
Yeah, and a crazy fact is, so Gregorian chant used to be everyone would sing the exact same note.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then soon after they introduced polyphony, so you know, people would sing different notes.
And then there's
this kind of like is like there was pushback from the church. It was like, no,
This is the devil.
no. It was literally like, no. If you sing two notes at the same time that are different, that's like going against the idea of God as like being one or something like that. It was just some.
It
BS.
was the devil, dude.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, but it's just funny, just thinking about like, it's like that was like really pushing the boundaries, just like going from everyone doing to.
Yeah, who knows what those people would think now.
Oh, God. Yeah, when it's like you look back, like right now, it's like pop music is at its most like ridiculous.
Pop music?
Well, in the sense where it's like literally rap is just pop music.
Oh.
It's just like when you think about like literally the lyrical content of
I just
those
like,
songs.
well, I kind of like it because I'm like, what if I like come up with some funny idea in my head and make one pop song
Yeah.
and it blows up? It can be the Old Town Road guy, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean that.
Like, I think that song's genius, and people think I'm crazy for thinking that, but I'm like, dude, his lyrics are hilarious. And he made it perfect, like making fun of. It's like a country parody almost, with his funny, like rap-ish lyrics.
And I mean, that's something that I've been like really thinking about lately. Where it's like, because I'm also in advertising. I recently started my own kind of like advertising agency, and just kind of what I think is like the future of ads in general is like making them memeable.
Oh, I think that's everything.
Yeah, where it's the same thing with music, because it's like, think about the Colin Kaepernick print ad by Nike, where it's like you have to sacrifice everything. What was it? It's like in order to gain something, you have to sacrifice everything.
Yeah, something like that.
Where it's like a close up, and then literally that format blew up because
like,
it was like already like a memeable format.
But music-wise, Hotline Bling, dude. Like the Hotline Bling dance by Drake. Like that was immediately a meme, and that was probably the biggest song of that year.
And I mean, Old Town Road, I think it's the biggest Billboard.
I mean, it's like some ridiculous amount of weeks it's been number one now.
I think it's like 20.
Yeah.
Like 20 weeks.
And that guy made it at his house, you know? Or I don't know if it was at his house, but he bought the beat online for $30 and recorded it.
Yeah.
It's like an insane story. I like that though, because that means like you can literally just kind of mess around and come up with something that is catchy and people.
Yeah,
like,
and
you know?
it's funny. It's like in that duo I was telling you about with me and Ben, where we play a lot of pop. Like he pulled that out, and I was like, really?
Right.
But I mean, it is kind of an interesting chord structure, because literally the song is it's A major, then it goes to B major, then it goes to F sharp major, and it goes to E major. Yeah. And that's kind of interesting. It's like 4 major chords, but I don't think any pop song has really done like major 1, minor 3rd, but that's a major 2.
Yeah. Huh.
And then it goes.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that either.
Yes, it's. I was like. Because like when I tried to solo over it, I was like, "This is hard to solo over." It's
I
like,
have to like do changes
weird.
and
It's like,
stuff.
yeah, it's like
Listening to changes in Old Town Road. Who knew?
it's just weird. It sounds good though. I mean, that's the Grateful Dead bread and butter. It's like, all right, if we make every chord major, we can really play whatever.
That is true.
Because that's what they do. It's like literally, Touch of Grey.
Yeah.
Just has endless major chords that are in and out of the diatonic scale, but it's like, it's major.
But it works.
Yeah, it's major.
That's pretty nuts.
Because it'll be like, it's like the tonic is like B major, but then it's like, hey, let's throw in a G major. Yeah, let's throw in C major, whatever. It's like,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
But that's what they were doing.
oh, the Old Town Road.
Yeah, well, both the Old Town Road and the Dead.
Yeah, it's like if you just make everything major,
It'll be good.
it'll work. Everything's good, and it just lends to some cool, chromaticism.
That's how I used to fake playing piano. Just play everything in B flat minor, dude. Play all the black keys.
Yeah. I still can't play piano at all.
Oh, I'm pretty bad, but I've been with the producing and stuff. You get a little better.
Yeah. So I mean, do you have any other kind of bass tips? Like, what do you have any kind of like an overall essential bass advice or trick, or what you would advise the youth to do in the music industry?
I would say that you would. It's so cliche. Like, practice a lot. Listen to a lot of music. Listen to a lot of different music.
Yeah.
Learn to play the music you're listening to. Learn to play all the parts of the music you're listening to. I wish I did that earlier. Like, you know,
Like learn the vocal melodies.
Learn the vocal melodies, learn the sax part, learn the piano part, you know, whatever is playing, you learn it, and then figure out how it fits together.
Yeah.
Because that's just going to help you understand music and music theory.
And honestly, like, I would say, like, you said this kind of earlier, how it's like if you're watching TV, you're just playing. I think one of the best pieces of advice is, if you're in TV in your bed and you're alone and you're not bothering your girlfriend ever, just like always have your instrument. If you're watching videos online, just have an instrument in your hand, and literally don't even make it like
you have to think about it. I'll just be like most of the time I just do patterns with my hand. Like I'll be like in my head, I'll be like, all right, 1 2 4 1 3 4 1 2 4 1 3 4, and I'll go 1 2 4 1 3 4 1 2 4 1 3. I just go up the string like that and do that. Just different ways on different parts of the neck and back, opposite, and then skip strings, and I don't know. I just play like dumb.
And honestly, it's like one of the biggest things is figuring out like when you practice isolating techniques and then figuring out ways to like practice them around it. Like there's this song that it's like still hard for me. It's called "Right in Time" by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but like the line is like literally, it's kind of like "River People" by Jack, where it's like.
I have heard that song.
And I mean, River People, I think is.
So are you string skipping or are you using your thumb?
I'm string skipping.
I think I would use my thumb on that.
Well, then you have to kind of do the down up.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, but like once you figure out like what you have to do, then just make it so that it's something that you can do mindlessly while you do something else. Like, because if I'm practicing that, all I'm going to do is like, all right, I'm going to just do a C major scale with that.
Yeah.
And I'll just be watching a video and then you do it a little faster.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Always start slow. Especially
Always
when like
slow.
learning a new tech. Like, it's way better to sound like. This is what I tell, like, my brother, I got my brother to pick up bass like a year ago, and he's older than me, so it's kind of like, fuck. He was always like, oh, I need to do that. I'm like, you're an adult and you have money, buy a bass and start playing. That's like how that happens.
You can make it as low as a $300 investment and get a bass and amp and
yeah, well, that was, I'm like, this thing you're talking about is like, you can do it. It's not like a dream. So I got him to pick it up, and that's why I told him, like, dude, don't worry about, like, if the bass line, like Pusher Man, if you're having trouble with that, like, it's way more important for me to, like, I mean, the open notes, not really, you can't really mess that up, but, like, these notes, like, I think it's way more important to have, like, a nice full sound than before moving forward. Because if you move forward, then you're just going to be rushing it, and then you're going to be, like, hitting stuff wrong, and, like, so I always think, playing slow and then speeding up is the way to go.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, especially, like, with a lot of slap techniques, that is an essential.
Everything.
Yeah.
Because even, like, that warm-up thing I was showing you. Like
you got to make sure that you can get it articulate.
And you got to sound, like, if I was playing this bass and bad, that doesn't help me,
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like,
Yeah, and that's when you're trying to practice, like, a new technique, like, I can do this really fast now, but, like, it took me a long time to, like, get, like...
Yeah.
And then now I'm kind of working on the 4.
Yeah, the 4's hard.
But, like...
it's weird, because sometimes it's just, like, the angle of your hand.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes...
Well, it's way easier to do the...
Yeah, shit. You gotta kind of, like, I don't know. It depends on your fingers, too. Like, my right finger doesn't really hit that, like, naturally. So I have to, like...
Yeah, no, you have to kind of, like
turn it. Yeah.
Yeah, but, like, with that, like... If I was to do that early, like, I would just be in my bed, just laying down, just doing...
Yeah. I mean, I would do that, not even playing notes.
Yeah, or just...
Yeah. And then go, yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing. It's like most of it, the reason it's like, I think we're both saying to kind of like do it while you're doing something mindlessly, because it's not even about like learning the technique so much as getting your muscles, because
either able to do it or
yeah.
strong. I don't know what it is, but like,
yeah.
just the more you do something, the more your hand kind of just
and you won't get fatigued by it.
You don't get fatigued by it, and
Yeah.
then you're just, you know, I don't know. Well, I don't know how it really works, but I don't know if you've read like Outliers and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like the 10,000 hours, and I think that's just with everything. So like, because what I've been really trying to do recently, like I'm pretty good at slapping and stuff, but I feel like my actual regular finger style isn't like some of those guys out there are like blazing fast, you know. And I'm like, how are you? Like if my right hand could do that, my left hand wouldn't be keeping up, you know. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I've been working on a lot recently.
Do you ever do the 3 fingers?
Yeah.
See, I kind of do it as like an affectation. Like I kind of naturally do kind of the John N. Twistle, like.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big like. I'm not a big fan of like actually doing like really fast, consistent. Like I think if the guitar is doing.
Yeah, you gotta be slower, right?
Like, there's no reason for the bass to try to replicate that. Like, try to figure out.
It sounds muddy and stuff. Yeah, I agree with that.
Try to figure out just like hold out the notes. So it's like usually when I play like really fast stuff, like that's why I never really like really actively practice. Like, I can kind of do it pretty well, but like I'm just not a big fan of like consistently doing that. But
well, it's like it's funny because that's something I started like doing in high school with the 3 fingers, mm-hmm. and how I would practice when I would sit in class and I would just tap, but like make it. I wouldn't even do it fast. I would do it like as a point, like that nothing else is moving but these fingers, so that like I have control over them. Like I can throw the pinky in there every once in a while if I can reach the string.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Whenever I do the 3 fingers, I always do it the same, which is
the gallop sort of thing.
I always do that.
Yeah. See, but then like you have to do the 3. Like you can't.
Yeah, I can't do reverse.
Yeah.
I'm real like.
That's what I'm saying. It's like. But if you wanted to like hit 2 notes fast and then the third one like kind of fast, you could. You know.
Yeah.
I just like when you, because that's how I first learned it with what was it, the Iron Maiden guy,
Steve Harris.
Steve Harris, yeah.
Oh, he's the king of it, yeah.
So that's how I like first learned it and stuff. But then I was like, man, I can't remember who I saw like way back in the day. They were using that 3rd finger, but not. They weren't doing anything crazy. They were just using the 3rd finger, like a third. You know, it was just like.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, it's like when it comes down to like most bass lines, you really only need 1 finger, and mostly I just gravitate towards my ring.
I mean, I never. If I really need it, I'll use 2 fingers and try to like put more skin on the string. I feel like it sounds like deeper. So.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, the such a big tone technique I realized recently is, this is so true for fretless. If you want like a really nice warm tone. Just such a big thing is switching from playing here to just
for sure
actually on the neck.
Yeah,
like it instantly just warms everything up.
It does. I would do that in IRE a bunch because you know the reggae. It would be like.
And have you ever heard the trick where it's like literally you can get the sub octave by just if you literally play an octave above?
I have not.
So like, literally you're on the 5th fret.
That's weird.
You hear that?
I hear yours. Are you like pushing down on it or just pulling?
Just playing over it. Just play regular over it.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I did not know that at all.
I learned that from a Michael League video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great too. See, that's what I like. I feel like there's different forms of like musicians that I like and stuff. Like some of them are technique people and some of them are like the writer people.
Yeah.
As far as like writing music and stuff.
Because Michael League, for the most part, I mean, he's pretty laid back. Like, he's not doing nothing. He's not
doing anything nuts.
But then, like, if you want, like, you can always.
I mean, he's really fucking good.
Yeah, no, because when he wants to do some crazy stuff, you'll be like, okay.
But it's like usually he's just kind of grooving back there, and you're like,
usually just like,
yeah. But it's awesome.
Yeah, I watched this funny interview with him where he was talking about, it's like, yeah, I used to play some boutique owner where it's like Ken something, I think. But he was saying that he used to play real busy, real fast, and then one day that he had a gig and the bass had active pickups and didn't have an extra battery and it died on him. So he asked the what's his name? Tim LeBeouf.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
He's a really famous session player. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he lent him his P bass.
Yeah.
And he said the action was really high, so
he couldn't play fast.
He ended up just playing like real basic stuff. And then after the gig, his whole band was like, "Man, you sounded amazing."
You've ever played. Yeah. That's like crap.
Yeah. But that is the thing with those real fast, like, that's what it looks like with Stanley Clark's bass. I don't know if he just has gigantic hands, but
he's got a small, short scale, right?
Yeah, the Olympic bass like looks like it has the thinnest neck, and it's just like when he plays, like it's like, man, that bass looks like you're playing a Mustang.
I think it's a short scale though, so it is smaller.
I don't know, man. It's just.
I thought it was like 28-inch.
Could be, yeah, definitely.
Instead of
I love that. I love that.
34.
The Alembic that John Entwistle played, the Exploiter.
Oh yeah, that thing was crazy.
was so
I love
sick.
Stanley Clark, dude. That's like one of my favorites.
Yeah, Return to
Forever and those like solo albums he did, School Days and stuff.
I could see you loving School Days.
Yeah. But he was cool because he did the technique stuff and he did the writing stuff. And then some of his solos, it's like, it's just him kind of slam. It's nothing crazy, but it's like it's powerful. I don't know.
The biggest thing that I realized is like his slap technique. You could tell so influenced Les Claypool. Like I'm a big fan. One big thing I like with Stanley Clark is like.
Yeah.
And that's And one kind of technique that I've been working on is like where it's kind of like.
So you're like kind of slapping through them.
Yeah.
Both. That's pretty cool. I never thought about doing that. Whenever I do that at pop, I like that sound. That aggressive double stuff. That's cool though. Because you're gonna hit the strings more. Right?
Yeah, because he's already kind of like with Stanley Clark, he's already kind of playing through it.
Yeah.
Well, usually I think him and Les Claypool both kind of do that.
Yeah, I think they're doing this drum thing. Yeah.
But it's like you can kind of do that with, and then kind of like come back.
I like what you're doing. I think that's something I could use for sure. No, Stanley Clark, I think he influenced everyone.
Yeah.
Claypool was one of my favorites too, though.
Oh man, I wish I could have seen the Claypool and Delirium.
Yeah, I didn't.
420, but I didn't.
They just played like a week ago.
Yeah, they played Friday.
My brother went.
Dude, that new CD is so good. I forgot what it's called. It has like a cockroach on the
Claypool
cover.
Lennon one.
Mm-hmm.
I think I listened to it when it came out, but I haven't
dope.
really. Dude, I like the first one too. It's just super
weird. The first one's great. The second one I think is better. Because I love the first one too, but the second one was like really impressed me. Just love it.
I'll have to re-listen to that because I don't really completely remember what it was about.
Yeah. But I mean, you got any other tips or techniques you wanna share?
I've been trying to use my thumb in like normal situations. Not necessarily
Stingway.
Stingway, like yeah, exactly. And kind of trying to do the picking with it too.
I pretty much do that when I just have bad blisters on my fingers. Like I'll just be like, all right, I guess I'm doing thumb now.
Yeah, But I think that just brings like a whole another tone to everything.
Yeah, it is kind of fatter, and it kind of forces you to kind of play less.
It definitely.
You got no choice. You can't really, unless you're who's the Gary Willis.
Yeah,
his
awesome
technique is that he literally does this. Like this is his.
Yeah, that's his normal play.
That's his normal like.
What is it? Tribal. What is it?
Tribal tech or something.
Yeah, tribal.
Yeah. But I've seen him play, and it's like. I've never seen someone do that where it's like it's not slapping. It's literally
he's just using the 3 fingers that way.
It's just like I can't do it at all, but yeah, it's sick.
Yeah, that is real cool. Trying to think of any other techniques I don't know. The tapping has been cool. I'm not nearly as good as like I try to use it more as like I want to play up high, but I need something backing it. Mm-hmm. Like one of the songs like that's gonna be on the next album is like. So it's not like.
Yeah. And one thing I found when I tried writing tapping stuff is you can get into the area where it's like, all right, I'm writing a part that is super hard.
Yeah.
And it's hard to play. It's like literally, it's like.
Dude, I've had multiple songs that I've written the part, and I'm like, I have to learn to play this stuff.
This is too hard. Yeah, like with that song I was showing you earlier, it's still hard for me to do, but literally the line is.
Have to do it fast.
And then but then you switch to this, so it's like. That's one thing I really like about timing is how easy you can like sound fast, like
yeah. That's really tight.
Because it's like really no effort. Because like that's what I feel like is the weirdest thing about like the real fast stuff that you do. It's like the fastest stuff you do really doesn't require like a lot of actual motion.
Yeah,
where it's like it's just like the way you like. That's all I did.
Yeah, I feel like you actually use less motion the faster you go because you have to be efficient in your movement. So, but yeah, I've definitely done the same thing where it's like I write something and I'm like I can't really play that yet, so I'm like I have to sit here
and actually like
and watch TV and like just do this for like hours and then come back to it tomorrow and hopefully I can play it.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, and with tapping, like one thing I love doing is just like when you're just playing like a regular bass line, it's like. Or just like. Yeah. I just gotta like throwing in like.
I love doing that too, actually. Like, you can be like super fun. Well, I don't even use tapping sometimes, but I know I love like. If you like throw that in the middle of like a line.
Yeah, literally, it's the Jocko Birdland fill.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's like I forgot what it is exactly. It was like.
Someone else did
like
it
that.
too. It was I think it was Larry Graham and something for a Sly or maybe a solo stuff, and he did something like that, and I was like, I'm stealing that.
I'm jacking that technique.
But technique-wise, I haven't seen anything like too new that I'm like, I haven't seen that before. I've seen people improve on what people are doing and do it differently.
Except for Xander's on. I've never really seen anyone do what he does. Like I mean, I guess Michael Manring,
yeah.
But I don't even think he really does. He's kind of more.
He does more like loops and.
He's kind of more because he does the fretless where it's like he goes for that more milky, like more, which I love that too. But Xander's like more of like.
It's kind of.
It's not even a bass anymore, really. It's just this whole.
But it's like very modern.
Yeah, it's super modern, and it's just like he'll also get the EBO out.
Yeah, and he'll mess with that stuff. Yeah, he does a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah. Love it.
I'm trying to think of anything that I've seen. Joe Dart, I think, kind of brought bass back to like being important to people.
I'm glad you brought him up because I saw Wolfpack at 420.
Yeah.
Last year, whatever, man. That guy is, he's the dirtiest.
I just love how he plays.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because it's nothing like
he's so tasteful.
Yes, tasteful. And
it's virtuosic
funky.
but tasteful. It's like it's very funky.
It's super funky.
But it's very tasteful.
And he's usually sitting back in the pocket while doing it.
Yeah.
And like the other guys in the band are crushed.
Well, I just think the Corey Wong, who's the guitarist, the Corey Wong Joe Dart combo is the most disgusting.
And they got the marketing thing right when you were talking about that with meme being memeable, right? Being the meme.
Well, I mean, they just did. I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to replicate with Bones, frankly, because it's like they record all their own stuff. They put out all their videos. It's not these crazy music videos. It's like, all right, let's
guys standing in a room.
Yeah, it's like let's record it. That's what people came here for.
I mean, I think that's what you got to do though, because I mean. That's another reason I put out my videos all the time is because I can put out a video every week or more, and I can't put out studio music that fast.
Yeah, no, totally.
So how do you stay relevant with people that can't pay attention to stuff for more than
it's
3
just
minutes or 3 seconds or whatever it is?
It's just like, as far as content marketing goes, it's like, I mean, video is the future. And it's just like with so many people, it's like, oh, it's so expensive to record video. But it's like, right now I have the camera on the tripod, a shotgun mic.
I mean, you have a more expensive setup than I have at home. I use my phone, and I put it on I got a little plastic thing that clips to a desk that just put it.
Oh, I mean, for like all the videos I do on my Instagram, it's like I'll just whip out the phone, hit record.
I do it for my YouTube.
Literally play the song on my laptop.
But I like this because it flips out, and with the phone, the front camera is worse than the back camera.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did you do this? Could it have been hard just to make them the same? So like, that's why I want something like that. That's like, I can see what I'm doing. Because
I mean, I'll send you. I got this. I think I got the bundle, but it ended up being the best price on Walmart. And I want to say I spent maybe a little over $500, but got the tripod, got all these extra lenses, got two extra batteries, got a case.
And what did you just put it as a USB? Hook it up to a computer?
Oh, you literally, I just take out the memory card and put the memory card into my laptop, and then I just drag it into iMovie, and then edit it real quick.
Yeah, I gotta look into that
But I'm glad because I finally found like a good setting on the shotgun mic. Because for the longest time, like I was trying to figure that out, but it's like you have to put the volume all the way down on your camera, and then you have to push the gain on this. So it's like basically, because before that it would be real like hummy.
Yeah.
Like shh, but like this kind of like cuts it out so it's not so loud.
Yeah, see, I don't even use a mic on most of my videos because I'm just like intro, song, done. You know.
I just think nowadays it's like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to put out content because it's not going to be super professional. It's not going to be like the highest quality. It's like, well, it's never going to be, but it's like you got to put out something. It's like it's all about the push. It's all about A to Z. It's like you can't just stop at J and just be like, all right, well,
I'm not doing this.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, I know this song, but like I can't record it because like my camera. It's like that's fine.
Well, yeah.
People will watch it.
I mean, even with like the cover videos, it's like I usually record them after work on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Edit it all, put it out Wednesday morning, or like upload it to YouTube that night for Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
So I'm like only spending like 3 hours doing this, which isn't a lot of time, but. I mean, I'm making mistakes in the videos, but whatever. Like,
whatever. But as far as like,
if you're watching me, you're seeing me do it once a week, and you know I'm not like killing myself doing this. It's just like,
well, I guess we'll close on this, but since you definitely had some nice growth on your YouTube channel, like, is there any advice or any like tricks that you found that's like doing this for your YouTube channel? I don't know if it's like focusing more on the titles of the video to make them searchable, the tags, making them.
I was going to ask you that because you're the one that knows that stuff. I mean, there's a couple of apps out there that kind of help you with it, but I think it's the thumbnail. I think is the most important thing.
Because I use Canva, which it's free, but you can pay like $7 a month, but it's really good for like basically graphic design for people who aren't graphic designers.
No, I was using Canva and then I switched to this other thing that's like Gravit. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Gravit. And the reason I did that is because you can like cut yourself out of pictures and put yourself on like a blank background, a transparent background. So like, you know how like YouTube they always have like the person's face and what happened? Blah, blah, blah. Or I'm reviewing this movie or something, you know, and then a picture of the person's face. And I was reading about like how having like a person's face in the thing makes it more clickable and stuff. So I was like, I got to do that. So that's what I've been doing. And just investing. I mean, dude, I've learned so much crap other than music, playing music. I feel like, you know, like video editing.
No, that's definitely something that I'm like... Yeah, and it's like the biggest thing is to just not overthink it.
No,
it's just
you just got to get it done.
Yeah, it's like, do you have iMovie? It's like that's fine. You don't need to get the final cut. It's like because that's what I find with a lot of people. It's like, oh, well, it's like I do want to do video editing, but it's like I want to wait till I get the like good stuff. It's like, man, just.
But the thing is, you're not you're never gonna spend money on something you haven't done.
Yeah.
and you don't know if you're good at. So like, why would you even try? But like at the beginning, I was just like, I didn't know what I was doing with the video editing, so it would take me a long time. Just because I didn't have a process, and I would do everything like not in the right order, so I'd be going back and fixing stuff. Like, you know, I've kind of finally got it down to like, this is exactly what I do to make this video.
Yeah.
And then it's not as bad.
And then that's the biggest thing. Like the early videos are hard and they take long because you don't have the system in place. But then once you know that first video, it's like, wait, how do I export this? Like, how do I? Wait, it's like, okay, wait, how do I have to? But then like once you actually get the system down, you can start knocking them out real quick. Because I'm sure it's like every Tuesday, it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna cover a song. I'm gonna cover a song. I know what to do. It's like I record it, edit it real quick, get the thumbnail, upload it to YouTube.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, I think the thumbnail is the most important. I think as far as like getting people to listen to you, I don't know if a lot of people do this or not, but you have to like connect with the people that are following you. So like anyone that follows me on Instagram, I send them a message. I'm like, yeah, I'm John. I play bass. What kind of music do you listen to?
Oh,
like I don't send like a link or something. I'm not trying to be annoying.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, what's up?
Because people do send the links, and it's funny because like when someone does it to me, I immediately delete it and don't look at it. So I'm like, well, that definitely doesn't work.
I think if you DM someone and the first message has a link to it, that's always suspicious.
Well, you're just like, I don't want.
It's like, is this a virus? It's like,
oh yeah.
Don't be sending me no links.
But then I just opened up a conversation about music, really, and then
building some rapport, you know.
And then they just. Well, they usually talk, and if I think they're going to be interested in my music, then I'm like, hey, dude, I think you might be interested. And then I ask them, I was like, I can send you a link to my YouTube channel if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
Because then they get to say yes or no to you. Yeah. And if they say yes, they're probably going to click it. Why would they say yes?
And at that point, it's like, be kind of just rude.
I mean, that's really where I got the most out of. Like my YouTube growth has mostly been like Instagram. People follow me and I go, hey dude, what kind of music you like? And then a lot of them will be like, hey dude, I'm a bass player too, but like, you know, I listen to metal. And then we'll talk about like bassists that we like, and then you'll be like, oh, those guys are tight. And then it'll be like, well, if you want to check out something of mine, just let me know and I'll send you a link.
Covering this metal song.
One thing about YouTube is like I would like to make money off of it at some point, you know?
That would be nice. That YouTube bucks.
Yeah, his YouTube ad revenue. But like the hard part is getting the. I haven't had as much trouble getting subscribers as like watch time, because you have to have like 4,000 hours in the last 12 months or something crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was like you reach a certain. I don't really know. You reach a certain number of subscribers or like views, I guess.
It's watch time and subscribers is 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch time. But once you get it, you don't have to like keep it up. Which is good. But I'm like, getting that many hours when you're making 3-minute videos.
Yeah.
It's like,
that is.
I did the math in my head. I was like, if every subscriber watched
that is a
every
big,
video all the way through.
That is a big algorithm thing with YouTube. Is one of their biggest factors is like a big factor for like a video if they want to rank it well or want to put it in suggested videos, because that's really the bread and butter that you want, is you want to be in suggested videos.
Yeah, you want to pop up
but
on someone's,
but basically, YouTube's biggest thing is they reward videos that keep people on YouTube.
Exactly, they do.
So it's like if they just went down a YouTube rabbit hole and watched 8 videos and then you're the last video and then they leave YouTube, that's a penalty.
Down. Yeah. You're getting...
But if you're just part in the mix, like your video 4,
then you're good.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, YouTube's interesting because like you think you know what you're doing, and then you're building subscribers, you're getting more views and stuff, and then you go to like the analytics and you're 60% of the people that watch your videos like aren't subscribed to you, and I'm like, who are those? Who are those people? And how do I contact them to be like, hey? Why don't you should subscribe or something?
Well, that is a big technique I've heard about. It's called the sequel technique, which is basically, it's like if you're going after like a certain keyword or whatever, like you want to rank for something where it's like bass cover videos or whatever. You type in bass cover videos and then you figure out whatever is ranking number 1. and then you try to replicate their kind of like title tags, their kind of like description, and then they're like content tags. So that hopefully you'll be, if they watch that first video that's ranking well, you'll be in the suggested video.
Yeah.
That's apparently like...
I'll have to check that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird though, because when I search YouTube, it's like some people do the melody stuff. The thing is, there's tons of bass covers, like general, playthroughs and covers, but like not really too many with the melody. Or the ones that do have the melody are like one-offs. They did like did one like every 6 months, and it's like well done, well done and stuff. So I'm like I try to figure out like what to try to compare myself to, and like kind of take their tags and ideas.
Yeah, you just steal them tags.
But I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to see for sure.
Alrighty, well, Professor John.
Jack.
Nice as always. And I guess subscribe to the channel if you like that. Peace.